Yes, I may be overreacting, but they're really, really good. Now, I know it's only been 2 series played, 4 games in total. They got swept in one and won 2-0 against a very young, still trying to discover themselves AP Bren. But I really like the potential the TNC Pro Team showed in week 1 of MPL Philippines season 15. So let me show you just some random reasons as to why I think they are a playoffs team already. You know, the really sad thing about the game number 2 against Onyx Philippines is that people will blame Lord JM for the loss considering what happened in the last play. But the last play, I feel like, was just an indication of how this team as a whole, despite me thinking that they're great, they still have a lot of things to iron out and improve on to really solidify themselves to the rest of the world as a playoffs team. Although in my eyes, I already see the makings of a team that could be there. And one of the main reasons is, well, Lord JM, and this is a good place to start. Lord JM already knows the information that Super Friends is already here. He was spotted out by Lancy in the map, and Lord JM's just checking that. He doesn't need to check Brusco because in this scenario, Lord JM and TNC Pro Team knows that if anything absolutely goes wrong, it's probably because the Sicilians somehow got to Bat Impact, Sanguine Claw, steal the turtle away for Onyx Philippines. So the main threat here isn't Brusco threatening this right now, it's Super Friends because they've already checked their information. King Kong is not within the vicinity, and they're probably going off of the assumption that he's not here. So let's just go ahead and focus Super Friends, and Lord JM got to maximize the Detonus welcome, didn't even need to use the flicker, and got a pick off onto Super Friends with that. And that's actually interesting because the very first victory of TNC Pro Team is how it all went wrong later on when eventually Lord JM just couldn't reach Super Friends. But in this opener, he did, and he did so multiple times. Not just Super Friends, but key members of Onyx Philippines in sequences. Lord JM was able to start things off, but the snowball of the TNC Pro Team really began off of this play right here. It's only 1-0, and yes, Onyx is still definitely within reach, but their pickoff onto King Kong here actually messed up the rotation of Onyx Philippines. King Kong was not able to steal away the Litho Wonder. He tried to, but Lord JM committed the go onto King Kong. He committed his flicker, already used the Detonus welcome and missed, but he still had the missile expert with him and perfectly placed so that King Kong would get knocked back, and because of that, he would get taken out, and this is what broke the rotation of Onyx Philippines. Now, with my appreciation for what Lord JM did, we can actually convert this into my second point as to why I really like TNC Pro Team. It's their totally nice control around the map. I'm not gonna say that so much, I promise, but I like it. It's my video. Y'all can't stop me. After this pickoff onto King Kong, TNC Pro Team decided to take control of the bot side. Now, they decided to help out Kozin. What you essentially get after that pickoff is the information that there is only one guy up top, no one protecting the jungle. Super Friends and Brusco are actually in the mid lane, so top is all clear. Wouldn't that immediately tell a team like, hey, with that information, can't we just go top? We can take the Edith out, but then that's a big what if. If you decide to jump on that Edith under tower with the defense, reduce damage taken under the tower within the first 5 minutes against an Edith that's already level 5 that has his ultimate, it's actually risky if you decide and try to dive that Edith there as a whole team. It might be 1-for-1, you get a good push on the tower, but the best thing that you'd rather go for is to actually help out your gold laner. So if you look as this play goes on, Zyda, great use with Yaoi on that guiding wind, and they decide to focus on to just getting a little bit more control bot. So with the downwards direction of Onyx Philippines, TNC Pro Team has checked one of their tendencies. If they decided to go top, TNC Pro Team, Onyx Philippines with Super Prince and Brusco would have went down, with a King Kong whose trajectory is already going downwards, because you know, as TNC Pro Team, there's nothing else to get on the upper quadrant of the map. Instead of being aggressive and actually trying to take down the Edith, they trade it and they go bot side instead, so that they can help out Kozen by blocking off any sequence that Onyx Philippines wants to do on that part of the map around Kozen. You see Yawi sticking close actually to Kozen in the map. There are 4 members of Onyx Philippines on that side of the map threatening the bot lane. Because they have Kozen, they couldn't considerably threaten it. Kozen was able to rebalance the equilibrium in the lane, leaving Kelra actually just hugging tower. And, well, TNC Pro Team being able to read the rotations of Onyx PH very well. Continuing the trend of totally nice control for TNC Pro Team, you actually see them willing to sacrifice the top lane advantage because they're sending Lord JM more towards the center of the map, helping out the rest of the team, while you see the rest of TNC Pro Team committing a 4-1 split bot side to apply pressure onto Kelra's portion of the map. So King Kong and Kirk, go ahead, push up top, break the tower there. But the most important thing for TNC Pro Team is pressure Kelra's lane. And because of this pressure, the willingness to sacrifice the top portion of the map to focus on the bottom side of the map, Kozen was able to break his tower first. Kelra still was able to get farm, yes. But this is one of the key things you have to do when you're up against Onyx Philippines. Pressure Kelra as much as you can. To sum it up, what they did was a 4-1 split with the EXP lane as the anchor. So you're just holding that down and apply gold side pressure so you can get your gold laner out of lane first. And you continue your aggressive rotations with the Matilda, Alpha, Barretts, and now Harith out of lane, rotating around the map. Now we're going to go back a little bit into the points as to why Lord JM is doing really well for TNC Pro Team, while also acknowledging, well, TNC Pro Team as a whole. They're reading the tendencies of Onyx Philippines. This is a great decision by Yawi and Kozen to hold this shrub with 10 seconds leading into the turtle. They have their Barretts holding this entry. They have their jungler up top, which Onyx Philippines knows. So they're just gonna take care of the turtle pit. And one of the tendencies of EXP laners is to go here, and if a team is way too focused on this portion, which is around this area, then that's going to be an easy sandwich play. We've seen Onyx Philippines and other teams, of course, pull that off so many times. But Yawi and Kozen have read into it. They meet Kirk in the shrub. Kirk checked with the second skill. He goes in, forced to use the flicker out, because if you would check if you're Kirk with the second skill, because you have a time to unleash a crowd control combo so the rest of Onyx Philippines would be able to catch up. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get anyone there, and he's gonna get caught out. Lord JM, watch him now, conserves the use of his ultimate. He uses the second skill first, gets to knock back Kirk. He chews up Brusco, who ended up in front of him, so Detonus welcome onto the Cho. Onto ultimate by Lancy, drop down. Lord JM actually flickers forward into the shrub, also catching Kelra. That's a 2-man stun. They are only able to get Kirk there, but that is brilliant decision making by Lord JM to save the Detonus welcome, to use the missile expert first, and then to use the flicker to still somehow able to catch 2. Again, it didn't lead up to a kill, but that is damn good decision making by Lord JM. Now, continuing from this skirmish sequence, you get to see a little bit of brilliance in terms of macro control. Instead of rushing the turtle here, you could have sent the Barretts, the Matilda, the Harith, and the Aurora to all just go for the turtle. But as you see on the map here, the Harith and Aurora are managing the waves in the bottom lane, making sure they have a push after that. While Onyx, again typical Onyx, tried to balance it out, looking for a pick-off in the mid. Brusco will not be able to find the angle with the kick onto Zyda. TNC Pro Team will be able to get the turtle, and because of the little decision that Lancy and Kozen made to manage the waves in the bottom lane instead of just going ahead and focusing all on the turtle, once the turtle was taken, Guiding Wind with the Harith to send him here to the bottom lane to break that tower. That is great conversion from micro to macro, from skirmish team fight to controlling the map. That is elite decision making by a young TNC Pro team. Now, one last point for the whole Lord JM and a totally nice control around the map for TNC Pro team. It's another play where you see both in action. So in the cast here, I mentioned that TNC Pro team should look to take and threaten the lower portion of the map, have a push there, control that, while you also have some good posturing around the Lord so that you make Onyx Philippines decide, oh, where do I go? They didn't fully control the Lord. They only had Zyda there, but they controlled the lower quadrant of the map. And they're reading the tendencies again of Onyx Philippines. They could have concealed, ran through here, and then just chased down these two. But you have the Barretts and the Aurora holding the river and the bottom side so that the Matilda and the Harith will be safe in being able to control the waves down bottom. And if ever anything happens in the jungle, anyone comes through there, the Aurora and the Barretts will be able to respond. Because of this control in the bottom portion of the map, you can see Kelra actually decide, hey, is it actually going to be safe for me to clear this minion wave? How am I going to manage this? Again, this is Onyx Philippines 4-1 split. If it's not the jungle and slash EXP laner on one side, it's the marksman just trying to catch up with the farm, going in the far lane opposite the objectives. But Kelra, you see him second guessing because the last thing he saw is a Matilda and a Harith there. Of course, you're gonna think twice about actually going to that because TNC Pro Team having more than enough time to just wait for Kelra where he is right now on the map and then pick him off and then just go and help out Zyda and the Lord, or maybe not even help out Zyda, but just after being able to take down Kelra, just gets resources on another portion of the map. With Zyda up top, they could have just cleared this, pushed top, while also getting a pick onto Kelra. That's why Kelra's not going through that. So now TNC Pro Team, they've controlled the bot, they've negated Kelra from this sequence. It's 5 versus 4. They most likely are already thinking about this. Now you have to get control around the objective again. How do they do it? With the surprise force play by Lord JM onto Super Friends. Again, the tendency of the sequence where Lord JM is always just looking for Super Friends, eventually coming back to bite them in the ass. But in this scenario, it's a great conversion, again, of macro then to a micro decision. You see Lord JM already charging up the Detonus welcome, and we were all surprised to see them commit the flicker, and you see it in the lower portion of the map here. Let me just draw a big ass arrow so you can see it. That is all of them already saying that, hey, you catch Super Friends. And because he caught Super Friends in this scenario, Onyx thinks twice about engaging because the Sicilian does so much for them in team fights in terms of damage and disruption, while Kelra can only do so much alone without the Sicilian at this portion of the game. TNC gets the Lord and they take control. Eventually, they would lose that game number 2, but you could see it, right? Just how good TNC Pro Team are with maximizing the strengths of their lineup, macro, micro to macro. What the top teams in recent tournaments do so well, TNC can do that even against Onyx Philippines. Again, they lost, but they showed the potential, and that's what matters. Now, one of the main reasons why TNC Pro Team was able to take control of Onyx in that game number 2 was because of Yawi's link up as the Matilda with the Barretts of Lord JM and the Alpha of Zyda, the two main users of the Guiding Wind. They took control of the map with their really smart rotations, helping out Lord JM with his entries. He really became the main setup roamer. While Yawi was a little bit more of a support role. It was just great. But in their series here against AP Bren, you really got to see just how good Yawi and Lancy are together and where Lancy's mindset is at in terms of matching the aggression of Yawi. Now, looking at this sequence, I feel like this was just the perfect example of, yeah, Lancy really wants to match the wavelength of Yawi here. So Yawi already sees James Spanks, And at this point, up against the Jawhead, that's a nightmare scenario. You don't have anyone protecting the jungler. The Jawhead can just go on the Joy, and that's exactly what Yawi does. But look at what Lancey does here. He does something he doesn't need to do. He goes ahead and flickers forward. He really didn't need to do that. Zyda was there, Yawi was there. That's a Joy, still just trying to farm up. But Yawi flickers forward and tries to combo and help out the Joy. And that, to me, the coach brain in me was like, you didn't need to do that. In me personally, as a fan of MPL, I'm just like, yeah, look at Lancey just really trying to match the aggression of Yawi and Zyda, and you like to see it. Hopefully we don't see more of these unnecessary decisions, but it's still really cool to see. Here's another example of the link up between Lancey and Yawi. So they're taking control and getting vision around this portion of the map. They already know Kekedot is there. Lancey being safe, checking the shrub, and if ever a surprise Selena pops up, Yawi is there close enough with his ultimate and flicker online to help out Lancey. So this is just housekeeping, good housekeeping by Lancey and Yawi together. But then Yawi decides to commit a play. He uses the unstoppable force first, bumps Kekedot, Lancey keeping a safe distance. He doesn't toss him just yet. Of course, he gets stunned, but he's waiting. You see Yawi actually go back just a little bit so that he doesn't overshoot his flicker. He gets to flicker just perfectly right behind the high loss. He doesn't overshoot himself past the high loss closer to Shizo James Panks. He's able to toss it back, and Lancey drops down the Deathly Grasp and the EG. Unfortunate that James Panks at that time also decided to go in. He gets knocked up. He gets airborne alongside Kekedot, and that's an easy 2 kills. Great decision as well by Kozen to flicker forward, even though he's gonna get punished here. But you got the jungler down again, and that's already the second death of James Panks, and you get an early double kill for the Harith. He's gonna get taken down here, yes, but Kozen got the double, he got the jungle, Choveskirt got taken out as well. I can't remember if they were able to take him down here. No, yeah, Zyda wasn't able to chase down there, but still, at the end, big win for TNC. So, what does TNC Pro Team do after this scenario? Well, look at Yawi, who's returned to the action. He's not going top to prepare for the turtle. They know they just got the Selena. They know at this point probably the Hylos has returned. So has James Banks. Respawn timers aren't that long. But they decide to apply even more pressure onto Shizo, who already has 2 assists. And with Kozen down, you need to manage the gold lane. So you see Yawi make his way all the way to the gold lane, taking care of that. And eventually, because of this decision, Yawi and Zyda were just able to easily pick off Shizo. I just want to highlight this 2 sequences that look very mirrored that just happened a minute within of each other happening. So AP Bren are gonna apply pressure to the bottom. Yawi gets hit by a great check by Choveskirt with the Abyssal Arrow, and you see Lord JM and Lancey coming in from the mid lane to help respond and see if they can get something out of that. Lord JM goes around, stops the entryway. Lancey goes out the other way, and they're able to take down Kekedot. Not able to take down anymore, but it's a good respawn. A minute later or so, you see the almost exact same thing happen. You see Yawi controlling the shrubs, and now there's information for AP Brand that, okay, that's where the Jawhead is. So to help cover the Jawhead, Kozen's nearby to apply pressure into the lane. They're gonna push that. Yawi is zoning for him in this area, and Lancey and Lord JM are just within enough time to be able to respond in case anything happens. Enough time, enough distance. So Yawi a little bit more aggressive. Kozen with a really deep push into the bot. Yawi gets the info, and he knows that there's someone there. He's just waiting. He's trying to bait, see what happens. This is veterancy by Yawi with what you're seeing here. He doesn't face check it. He waits. Kekedot waited for James Panks, waited for Dare, but now AP Bren are in a difficult situation. Lancey and Lord JM are gonna be able to respond. Kozen has a 2-level gap against Shizo. That's good items already for Harith. Already 2-1 and 2. And you see the response for TNC. Almost the same area, almost the same play, because Lord JM really waited for the fist break. Again, unfortunate, James Banks decides to enter in an area where Lancey dropped down abilities. In this scenario, it's a Deathly Grasp. You see James Banks, excuse me, not James Banks, but you see Der and Kekadot get caught out by the combo. It's great patience, especially from Lancey and Lord JM, because they could have just run it back, and how they responded into the sequence earlier. Lord JM could have continued to go into the back here, and then Lancey would just be around this area using the pit to his advantage. But they decided to take the safer approach to this, which was to go the long way around. Lancey also goes behind the line. Lord JM is his front. Yaoi's able to toss back Kekedot. Lord JM has a line set up for Lancey. Good combination between the two, and again, just really great patience. Second to the last sequence here, and again, a good example of how good TNC Pro Team are with their very snappy decision making. Get one thing, try to look for another win. So in this scenario, Yaoi's getting the information, he gets hit. The initial salvo gets dished out onto him, but Lord JM, Kozen, and Lancey have a very good line. Kozen can dash past the wall in case anything gets too dangerous. Choskirt, that's already checked. But you have a good bunch of the AP Bren lineup just lined up very well for Abadang and Vixana together. Lord JM waited, the stun, 3-man Terrify with that Deathly Grasp. The Eternal Guardian gets laid down onto them as well. Just perfect combination, great patience by TNC Pro Team. Kozen gets a double kill, and look how Yaoi is already immediately looking for the next aggressive sequence. They know that the Joy probably went up top, and they read that really well. So Yaoi and Zyda will be able to convert this into a pickoff onto James Banks. 4th kill onto the Joy in 9 minutes. See, again, great conversion by TNC Pro Team from a team fight to taking control of the map to taking control of the objective. Very good. One last special highlight here for TNC Pro Team, specifically Kozen and Lancey. This is something that, if it went wrong, he would have been messed up. But it went right. Kozen just dives under the tower into the base. Zaman Force, the moment he sees the Granger, and he just decides to go for it. He gets the kill. What a decision by Kozen, and really just showing how impressive Kozen has been this weekend, or in the last weekend of MPL Philippines. He's 7-1-3 at this point. Lancey is there to back him up. If he did that solo and still got the kill, I would have been a little bit more critical, saying, bro, you didn't need to do that. That's so risky. But since Lancey was there anyway, and Zyda was close enough to just go for a counter punish if ever AP Bren got Kozen and then would go after Lancey, Zyda can counter. But since he wasn't alone, that was a team effort. They were able to continue that onto a kill to dare and eventually get the victory. So again, if you're thinking I'm overthinking this and I'm being a little bit too quick with saying TNC Pro Team are a playoffs team, I agree with you. But you gotta acknowledge, man, they are showing off some things that some of the best teams in the world in recent tournaments have shown, which is why I'm excited to see TNC Pro Team in action again in tomorrow. Okay, not tomorrow's, but in day 2's match against Omega. If Omega do not get their rotations and priorities in check, TNC Pro Team could look to sweep Omega with what they've shown in their previous match. If TNC Pro Team falter here and Omega suddenly show up, sweep, or give a lot of difficulty for TNC Pro Team, then yeah, I'm still gonna lean on the idea that TNC Pro Team are probably a playoffs team, but then surprise, surprise. And so far, after a week 1 of surprises, then I would love to see more surprises for week 2 of MPL Philippines. Don't forget to catch week 2 in the official channels on YouTube and anywhere else. It's all there, easy to search. I will be casting for the English broadcast in day 1 and day 2. So when you search MPL PH Season 15, just type English and then you'll find the English broadcast. Thanks for watching.